Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, hope you're all good. So following on from the other video I was talking about working with Boss, doing lots of new videos with those guys, I recently reviewed this little chap, which I'm sure you know what it is. This is the Katana Mini. It's a 7-watt little plastic box of Win, in my opinion. Sounds really good. But also I wanted to look at its bigger brother, or one of, and this is the Boss Katana 50, the KT50. Hopefully some of you guys will have seen the video that Rob Chapman put out recently with my bros Ben and Dave, talking about can the Katana 50, compete with a drum kit. So they went down to Brighton Electric Studios and they jammed and played in the live room and stuff, and so far so good. Proved the point, it can actually stand up against an acoustic drum kit in the room, which is really impressive. So we know that the Katana 50 can handle live application. Again, it's got a 12-inch speaker, it's an open back cab, so it's got a nice amount of warm low end, and it's 50 watts. Again, it's got a power soak kind of feature on it, but it's 50 watts solid state power. It really does kick, and I can definitely vouch for it because I've used it countless times in Soundlight videos and just messing around with them. And now I've got one at my house. It's been up in my lounge most of the time because I've just been able to noodle and play at either 0.5 watts all the way up to 50. So that's really cool. I wanted to do a video that basically features some of the tones you can get from it, some of the different sounds, and the flexibility of the amplifier, because we use them all the time with Soundlike, and we've spoken about them before, and I know you guys are aware of the Boss Katana, but I thought it was just worth making another video just to sort of hammer home the point that this thing for £189 can do a hell of a lot, like a hell of a lot. You can plug this in, plug and play, and it comes preloaded with presets on there, for the different channel layouts and stuff like that, and the sort of effects that are loaded into the banks. But as soon as you plug this into your computer, you end up with an entirely new situation, which is basically, hook it up with USB, open up the editor that you can download from the Boss website, and essentially you can affect the type of boost, the type of effects, the type of reverb and delays. You can build your own custom channels, your own custom patches for performances. I mean, it's way more in depth than you might think just by getting the amplifier. And it says, of course, you get this little card that comes with it that sits on top of the amp, and it gives you some recommended features, some recommended layouts, and it talks you through how it works basically. But where it's at is plugging in the Librarian, messing around with some of the other effects and stomp boxes that you can get inside the editor. So I've hooked it up with USB, and what I wanted to do was just quickly breeze over the amplifier for all those that aren't aware of it, but then on top of that I just wanted to do a load of playing through different presets that I've created using the Librarian editor. Okay, so we're looking at the Librarian editor now. As you can see, this is our sort of main page, and it's called Editor. So on here you can see your amplifier is kind of split up across all the different things we were just talking about. So you've got your amplifier section, your EQ section, your effects section, and of course you can also edit presence on the app, which is something that you can't do on the panel itself. However, as I said, on the 100-watt version that is something you can do. We move to the next column here, it just kind of opens up the effects section so we can see exactly what's going on. And each one of these buttons that corresponds to the colour on the panel can also be changed. So you can see these are all the different types of booster we can have: blues driver, overdrive, natural OD, warm OD, all the rest of it, metal zone, fuzzes, that kind of stuff. And then that can be 3 different types, as you can see. And then as we move across, you can see we've got modulation. So you've got different types of modulation effects: chorus, flanger, Uni-Vibe, tremolo, octave, wave synth. There's loads of stuff. So it's very classic Boss. You can get all the different effects Boss have done over the years and preload them into the amplifier. We've got different types of delay. We've got the SD3000 modulation, delay, reverse, loads of stuff. And then in your effects, you can use splicer, you can use a GEQ, which is your guitar EQ and all that kind of stuff. Moving across to this area, we can sort of predetermine what we want to load in when we turn our effects on. So you could just have reverb, or you could have delay and reverb, or just delay. And it basically allows us to stack different things again in such a way that you can really fine tweak your tone. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just one of each. You can actually stack together and get something really, really bespoke for what you want. If we go to chain, you can see you can change around the sort of signal path. So at the minute I'm using my guitar in, into my booster, into my amplifier, into my delay and reverb to the speaker, which is cool. But also it's nice to do, you know, guitar in, amplifier first, then put your booster in front with your delay and effects. So it depends on which way you want to do it. So now we've left the main window, let's move across to the first more in-depth editing software, which is my booster. Now I can choose whichever booster I want, so let's keep it on Blues Driver, and I can go ahead and I can actually affect everything about the pedal like the actual Blues Driver stomp box. So you can add how much drive you want in there, the kind of tone you want, the amount of low end, of course the overall level, and then you can also dial in your solo level like a boost almost, which is really, really cool if you've got a solo switch, which essentially is like a booster switch. Moving across to modulation, same story here. You can really fine tweak the parameters of your modulation settings depending on what effect you want. So, you know, Uni-Vibe, I can turn the rate right down, level, depth, all that stuff. Same for delay, same for the different effects. So let's take a look at octave, for example. You can adjust the range, you can even, you know, just fine tweak it or all that kind of stuff. Delay, same story. So you've basically just got a huge range of flexibility and customizability over your tone. And then when you get into EQ, this is like, I guess you could look at this like a parametric EQ, because you can adjust the Q factors, you can change the low, mid, high end, all that kind of stuff, so you can even more so fine tweak the EQ of your amplifier. This is a noise suppressor, and then this is your send and return. So it's just like massively customizable, and that's just in one of the, we're actually currently messing around with one of the channels. As you can see, these are sort of preset channels that we've got, so you end up with 4 different channels you can load into the amplifier. And of course the main panel is just whatever we want it to be in the moment. It's just useful because all you need is a USB lead, your £180 Katana, and you're good to go. Okay, so now you've seen the Librarian editor, you've seen how flexible and customizable the Katana is when using it with a computer. I'm going to give you a load of tones now, some of my favourites that I've dialed in, and I've mic'd it up with my Aston Spirit microphone. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy it. Just to interrupt my playing segment for 1 second, just so I can show you how I'm jumping between my tones for the video. Of course I can adjust my amp sound and my tone, and if I'm using generic delay and reverb that I can find just on the amp panel, I can do that. Of course I can adjust the tempo with a built-in tap tempo switch, but I want to fine tweak certain things, like I'm trying to find a kind of slapbacky kind of tone. So using the Librarian editor, I've gone into my delay setting and I can adjust the time, the type, all the rest of it as I went over, but it's just really cool because I'm looking for spring reverb and a slapback delay, and I can adjust that on the computer and it's happening in the amp. So for example, let me show you what happens when I adjust the delay time. Could do the same with reverb. So there you go, I found my tone and I'll stop interrupting myself. Throwing in a bit of octave for good measure. Just turned on a dual voice harmonist, which comes with the Librarian editor inside the amplifier, so let's see what we can do with it. So there you go, a few tones, tried to give you a few different effects and just a few different styles because I wanted to promote the fact that it's very versatile. And of course using the Librarian editor makes it very versatile. You know, you can go ahead and do as much modulation effects as you want, you can stack them on top, you can stack delays, reverbs, you know, drives, all that kind of stuff. It's really quite an endless scope in terms of tone shaping. And all this for £189.99. So, I mean, you know, it's fair enough if you're, you know, into your valve tones and all that kind of stuff. I completely get that. But if you're on a tight budget, you want something loud enough to gig with, you want something versatile so you don't have to buy loads of extra bits to get the kind of sounds you want. If you want it all in one box, absolutely, hands down, best value for money amplifier I've come across in a hell of a long time. Sub £200, 50 watts. I mean, it's just silly, and Boss have done a very, very good job of voicing it. It's really enjoyable to play. The open back cabinet makes it fill the room. It's even got a little stand underneath the cab so you can angle it up at yourself. You know, it's just great value for money. So I'm going to stop going on about it now. I'll put links in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it useful. Hopefully it inspired you if you wanted to get yourself a new amplifier on a tight budget. Pick one of these bad boys up. Christmas is around the corner. So yeah. Anyway, please like, subscribe and share. Leave your comments in the comment section below and I'll see you all very soon.